Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic episode of I'm going to talk about things and you're going to sit there and listen because you don't have anything else better to do than to listen to me talk while I try to stay calm as dogs smash around the house like rabid zombies. So I had a couple topics tonight I wanted to talk about, and some of these were their own podcasts before, and I deleted them because they were really too long-winded and they weren't concise enough. So I thought to myself, I'm going to wait for the right time and kind of talk about all these things at once. So I have a couple topics. The first one is I grow ever disappointed in the support that video games are provided, and so I uninstalled the game today that, even though I've only been subbing on and off for, like once every year or two for the last 6 years, I was really hoping that, which is SWTOR, for those of you who don't know, they just had another big update. And every year or two I pay, around Christmas, because Christmas is usually when they drop new content. And they always drop really good content, but they made this decision a long time ago to have like a little summoning terminal for your companions when this huge block of story content came around. And it was my recollection that they promised they would, maybe they would support the companions, maybe they wouldn't. But there was no indication that this terminal was going to create copies of the companions. This maybe happened 7-8 years ago. The point of all this, by the way, if you just don't give a shit and just wanted me to get to the point, is sort of I implied at the beginning, like, I don't like the way that video games are supported, and just software in general, to be honest. So when you go, let's pretend you're a brand new person and you're going to play SWTOR because you heard it was really cool and you want to start from the beginning. In all likelihood, you'd probably never even notice these terminals, and if I gave a shit and put way more time into this, I would work in screenshots of the terminals and I would show you defects of all of the downstream impacts. What you wouldn't know is back at the time, there was really no commitment that the companions were even coming back. There was a story arc that took all your companions away, companions that we'd been spending 5, 6, 7 years palling around with, kind of like NPCs that are your buddies, and one day they all just went away. And there was no commitment, no roadmap if or when any of them were going to come back. So it's easy for people now to say, oh, well, you should have been patient, XYZ. Most of those people, in fact, I don't think any of those people actually played at the time. Because it's easy to say that now when you have the full roadmap of knowing that every single NPC comes back. We'd been waiting months and months and months and months, and actually come to find out one of the NPCs didn't come back because that voice actor had passed away. So what are the people that liked that NPC supposed to do? Like, it's a persistent MMO, right? They shouldn't be able to just take the things away from you. So they created this terminal. I think they understood. I think it was in good faith. They created this terminal where you could instantly get your companions back, and people will go, oh, instant gratification, XYZ. It's like, it wasn't that. It was really, there was no promise that they were ever coming back. They didn't know if any were coming back, because I don't think they knew if the expansion was going to be received well enough. I think they had spent a lot of money on Knights of the Fallen Empire and Knights of the Eternal Throne. Really was maybe just a glimmer in their eye at the time. I want to say like maybe 1 or 2 companions came back. I don't think so. I think they added almost entirely new companions, with maybe just like Easter eggs of a couple. I don't really remember, and quite frankly, I'm never going to be reinstalling the game again, which really breaks my heart. But there's more reasons for that outside of the game, which I'll get to in a minute. Excuse me. So, fast forward, most of the companions come back. However, you start to notice all your companions are duplicated. People noticed this was a problem almost right away, but they didn't know the downstream impacts. Because really nobody's companions had quite come back yet. And so we didn't really know that it was going to be a problem. We say, hey, there's you keep putting in tickets over and over again. Hey, there's multiple companions on my ship. All my companions are duplicated. Oh, it's just a bug. And then you'd have like some dialogue, and both your companions would be there. Oh, it'll get fixed. Well, they were lying. They were lying to everybody. It never was going to get fixed. What people didn't know at the time, and again, I would be rolling in more footage if I was actually taking the time. What they didn't tell everybody at the time is it had made a copy of everybody's companions. And they never bothered to allow people either to just delete one and keep one, set one as the default, or, allow you to summon one or the other or something. It's completely a fourth wall breaking, immersion breaking, in my opinion, game breaking thing. Companions are the second most important thing in that game, aside from your characters. And then I would say third was like your ships. They completely effed the whole ship thing up. But they sort of kind of made it better with customizable guild ships. But if, goodness forbid, if your account every, ellipses, collapses, whatever, they can just take your guild ship and kick you out. So that's like holding you hostage to just pay what is really, in my opinion, way too much money for this game. But if you love the game, whatever. Like, I kind of get it. Stepping back a little bit, I was in early betas for the game. I was a part of the pre-launch. I had pretty much the best editions of the game you could get. I didn't play like KOTOR 1 and 2, and a lot of people would say that was like blasphemy. But like, I was in love with SWTOR. I played early alpha builds like locally with them like 2 years before they had to like redo the whole game. I was all in. I probably played more SWTOR earlier than probably most people on the planet, except for actual staff. I guess, I was like what you call a super fan. I had my guild pre-created. In fact, all the posts are still on the forum. Tons of posts. I have a community strike for some reason, which is funny because it doesn't tell you what I got, or I got a warning or whatever, but it doesn't tell you what for, so who knows. Years and years. Tons and tons of feedback, huge sections of feedback. I spent a giant chunk of time trying to make SWTOR the best game it can be. Granted, like, by the time it came out, the engine was already an entire generation behind. It still looks really good, though, to be honest, even with the current machine, like, the frame rate's just not there, but the engine just doesn't, it's just really choppy. I played a lot of Galactic Starfighter. I had, like, all maxed out Galactic Starfighter ships. My starship was maxed out. I had maxed out of, like, every single character on both sides. Maxed out companions, like, maxed out crafts of everything, like, you name it. Was working on maxing out my guild ship. And I never would have stopped playing if they hadn't. One day I was playing the new expansion and I, like, resumed, like, the relationship with the companion, and it didn't save. And so I put in a ticket right away, like the day of. I don't know how they missed this. I hadn't tested that build for some reason. Not that they cared, because, by the way, they were one of those groups. One of those, just like Blizzard, who wipes their dev forum after every post and after every publish and just makes everything go away. And it didn't save any of my companions' choices. This was a huge red flag, and I put in a ticket, and they go, yep, it's a known issue, we'll fix it in a future push. And so I go, okay, let me know, and I unsubbed. I resubbed a year later, hadn't been fixed, resubbed a year later, hadn't been fixed. Years and years and years, kept checking, kept resubbing, checking back in, hadn't been fixed, and finally, over, like, December of last year, I got fed up with it, and I'm like, I'm going to keep submitting tickets over and over and over and over, and I'm going to keep publishing in the forum over and over and over and over until I get to the bottom of this and figure out exactly what happened and figure out what dialogue I'm missing, figure out what the actual impact is. Try to figure out, like, what actually ended up ever happening with the relationship system, because it's BioWare and there's a lot of choices, and the choices do different things, and you can really, if they had wanted to really go with it, like, the sky's the limit, right? Because a lot of time transpires in this game, especially since the game's been out so dang long, but also in-game time, many years have progressed now. Like, really all the characters could have had, like, kids at this point that would have been 5 or 6, maybe, like, even 10 years old in some cases, like, in game time. They could have, like, really, it would have been insane what they could have done if, like, you know, the characters could have started having kids. Maybe, like, you get, like, a random kid or something, and maybe they get random stats, and you can see your kid being, like, raised and, you know, in your stronghold and on your starship and stuff. Like, could have been amazing, right? And I get it, they don't have a lot of money, but, like, it could have still gone there. It could still go there. But the tickets that I would put in, it felt like I was getting AI responses. They weren't even responding about the same companions that I was talking about. They weren't even responding to the same issue. You might go, haha, India, XYZ. It's like, this was worse than that. This was like an AI was, or somebody that knew nothing of the game was just plucking random things out of the knowledge base. And you might go, haha, that's... I mean, this happened like 4 times in a row. And so I'm like, okay, fine. You know, I'm subbed. I'm a paying customer 4 times in a row. And then, you know, submit bugs. It's like, but the bugs, you submit a bug and it doesn't even actually tell you that it's been submitted or give you any kind of indication. Nobody messages back. So I go to the bug forum. I post there. Devs just completely ignore it. People are ignoring me for a while, and finally people start getting back to me, more and more and more people, like, oh, this happened to me too, this happened to me too. You can just go on YouTube and see what you missed. And while I didn't miss anything pivotal, I was just missing like some extra dialogue. It showed me that basically my character was broken. And so if they ever did anything with that character that would have ever been any progression with any of his companions, he'd be screwed. He'd be absolutely screwed, and most of the relationship tracking with any of your companions just flat out wasn't working. And some, I talked to some people probably know that code are long gone and they're not gonna XYZ. And so the point is, like, make it right. Even if you have to bankrupt your damn company, make it right. Because I went to go post on the forum and be like, okay, well, I guess I'll never see you guys again, because the devs that I see, devs responding to other stuff, and it's like, I had a pretty big thread going, and I see every page at least one or two threads talking about this. I don't know what happened to their community reps, or even if they even have community reps anymore. But it's just like, guess what? I can't post. And I probably can't post because I'm not subbed anymore. And it also wiped out my signature line, which that signature line's been there for like 9 years. Just wiped out my signature line, just deleted everything from my profile. And I'm just like, this is how you treat people. And I had no new community strikes or anything. I haven't had one for like, I don't know, 8 years, 9 years. Wouldn't even tell me what it was. Anyway, like, this is how you treat people. It's like, but then, I think about it, I'm like, this is typical EA. This is typical EA. They have done this with so many damn games. They do not care about you at all. And it just reminds me of when Darkspore shut down all over again. They did not care that people had paid for a game and you could not, this game was unplayable for a year. You could buy a new copy and play it one time, and then the game would lock you out. There was some kind of like trick to get back in, but I had eventually forgotten what the trick was to get back in. And then one day they shut the servers down. I was like, I know why they're all still in business, because people keep paying them. And I'm not saying like fire the engineers, that the engineers should be unemployed. Like, it's management. The people that manage these companies, that make these deliberate decisions to not support their games, or whoever made the decisions that broke the games in the first place, or who like if they didn't train backups, or whoever made the decision to not support workarounds that they implemented that were in good faith. Making that terminal, I think, was like a good faith thing. Like, we weren't being impatient. We had been patient. We had waited a long time. Adamant supporters of the system. Somebody somewhere just decided that they weren't going to support that. I don't care if it would have cost $1 million. I don't care. Bankrupt your fucking company if you have to. Support your damn software. Right? Support your game. Because it's those good faith... It's those good faith gestures that keep your fan base. I'm not even mad at them. I'm so disappointed because I love that game so much. And I was on like the RP server, and I had like a really decent guild, and we just had so many good times. And I had unlocked everything on every single stronghold. You know, we did conquests. Loved it. That was like my evening every night for years and years and years. I played it longer than I played WoW. And it's just like, man, how disappointing that. And it, you know, what could I have done? Oh, not use the terminals. How are you supposed to know? And you might think that I'm like trying to shirk responsibility, and that this is going to be the new theme of the night, or the theme of this podcast. But if you're in a game and it like lets you auto summon your character, you know, your companions, even if they're unlocked like later on in the story, which by the way, now that I think about it, in SWTOR, the terminals aren't the only way to do that. You actually get a little communicator to pre-summon every single character you've ever unlocked with a little communicator. I'm guessing it breaks all of them, but you probably can't have relationships with any of those. I don't know. But there's probably a good, 6-7 characters that you can summon with communicators that you could also unlock with story. People playing it now, it's obvious. But when you wait 6, 7, 8, 9 months, and it's your favorite game, and you want to just you want to enjoy the game with the characters that you've been playing with forever, and all of a sudden you can't. And at the time, there was not a lot of new characters. And most of them were like pretty unlikable. And after McKeb, you went all the way through McKeb with the Rise of the Hut Cartel, and there wasn't you didn't get a single companion. And then after KOTT, finally into KOTFE, had that backwards. Finally, you were getting a new companion like every time you turned around. Well, for people now, that's like a 2-second thing, but for us, that was, I want to say it was like almost a year before they just barely started trickling content out, and you get Clio finally, and then 6 weeks later you'd get one more companion. 6 weeks later you'd get one more. Like, it took years and years for everybody's companions to get back. And there wasn't, as far as I could tell, and as many times I asked, because I asked over and over and over for a whole month, I don't think there's a single admission that bug, that defect even existed, and that they were 100% responsible for it, and they never made it right with anybody. And there was no way to reset the companions. They couldn't go in and like delete one of the companions and then like fix your choices for you. They did nothing. Zero to make it right. It was weird. Is like one of the times they said, we reset your Risha or something like that. Risha. I'm like, well, I didn't ask you to do that, but that's weird. I'm like, that's kind of like admitting that there was actually a problem here. They're like, your Risha should be working now. I'm like, well, my problem was my Akavi, but... And a lot of you are thinking like, oh, this idiot's talking about video games when the world's coming apart. But the thing is, like, I guess the point is that you gotta just be able to move on, and there's just so many things that just aren't supported now. So I guess I wanted to talk about that. I feel like I'm putting that to rest. So Next thing is, I want to talk about AI art a little bit. I had this hour-long thing that was a response to a certain YouTuber who I think is a grifter at best. I wanted to talk about AI art. I was really super tempted to publish that podcast. But I don't think it would have come out right. So I wanted to be more concise too. I think using AI art is theft, regardless of who uploaded the image first. However, I think if you at least try to like properly attribute at least what your inspiration was, especially if you have no way of knowing where the hell it got its images from, there's maybe still, some ethics you can at least try to do. And I made a lot of different analogies, and I think the analogy I'll stick with, since it's AI related, is using an AI to write your term papers for college, which you could absolutely do now, and I'm sure you'll get caught eventually, but you could do it. I don't know if you can get away with it, and eventually nobody will. But let's take AI art out of it for a second and say AI writing, because a lot more people are familiar with AI writing now. You click the button and it writes everything. It's going and taking all that text off the internet from somewhere. It's not generating it, despite people's popular opinions. Like, it is sort of generating and formulating it, but it is just grabbing all that info from somewhere. I think like most of the more modern ones are grabbing stuff from like a snapshot from like 2 years ago. So it just went out and stole all that. And you might go, well, that was all just stuff you can just go download. The problem is, and it's the same thing with AI art, and it's the same thing with AI writing, it does not attribute any of that work. It does not tell you where it got it. And if you were to write the paper yourself, you would have to write all of your sources. That is those attributions is what makes it not stealing. It's like Creative Commons using someone else's footage so you can make a news report, or if you're making music, using someone else's clip in your hook or your beat or whatever, and you're probably going to get sued, or the digital copyright guy is going to smoke you, and so whatever. The other example of that I made, if you think that, there's an ethics discussion to be had, is go try on YouTube sometime to use 10 different clips in a video, and the digital copyrights do not get evenly redistributed out. It takes all of your ad revenue and it just gives it to whichever one complains the most. It's not fair or even or equitable or any of those other BS words. It takes all of your revenue that should have been, gone to you, first of all, but if it was going to give it all back to them, it would evenly distribute it, but it doesn't. It gives it back to whichever one has like the strongest digital copyright claim to it. So basically all of those people are getting stolen from, and so are you, because you're the one that made the video, and it's going to. So but YouTube sometimes attributes it automatically, but sometimes they don't. I was playing, I can't remember which game I was playing, and it completely attributed it to a different game, and there was no way I could change it. So it's kind of stealing in a way, completely misattributing what game I was playing. So there's some examples. And I'm sure sooner or later what's going to happen. One of the other arguments is that none of it's the art isn't saved. Well, that's bullshit. It's all 100% saved. Just because us plebes can't pull the info back out doesn't mean that it's not saved somewhere. And I think it's the same thing with AI writing. I think all the AI writing is saved in a database somewhere, and I'm sure someday they're probably going to charge all the colleges to be able to query all the AI databases, or there's probably going to be some weird fingerprint that AI writing leaves. And I think we can kind of partially detect it, sort of like the uncanny valley. And I think that's what it is with like writing. It's like the uncanny valley. I've looked at a lot of AI writing now, and I can tell every time because it looks too good. The way AIs formulate text is too good. They also use a couple of weird words that people don't use unless they're writing directly out of, what are those called? Encyclopedias? Yeah. They use like encyclopedia level words, and it's because it went and just ripped that word out of an encyclopedia and didn't know how to use it right. Because I don't really know if you can tell the AI, like, I think you can tell it like what grade level to write things. So it would be funny to all of a sudden see everything written at like an 8th grade level. But I think it would be really, I asked some people, I think it'd be really expensive to like pour my books through the AI and have the AI rewrite them. But I wouldn't do that anyway, because I like the way I write my books. So those are the first two things. And of course my voice is giving out like it always does, because I don't have any cough drops or tea prepared. Those are the two topics. I feel like there's a third topic, which was the Rona. I haven't made a vax religious exemptions. I shouldn't have said the V word. I haven't made a religious exemptions podcast in a long time because I knew we had one. I wanted to make a religious exemptions podcast. I wanted to make one for a long time now. And there's already like multiple subvariants of the subvariants that I wanted to talk about last time that are already the new dominant sub-variants. Unfortunately, every time I try to talk to people about it, they say like the whole thing's fake. And it's like, well, what do you mean it's fake? I mean, those subvariants, sub-subvariants are real things that exist. So like what part of it's fake? But then there's other people that question my religious conviction just because, they want to like micro argue bullshit about scriptures, which is just a joke to me because, which version of the Bible do you want to argue about? But I did hear, the military is finally reevaluating everything, and hopefully all the military will be compensated. The plexiglass at the Costco was taken down just the other day. I heard the dentists are starting to chill out finally about the mask thing. Mask mandates at dentists is just the just the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. You're at the fucking dentist. The dentists already wore masks. You can't wear a mask at the dentist. They have to work on your teeth. It's really stupid. Like, it's such just, what a joke. So, people are on their 3rd, 4th, 5th booster now, and the bivalent shots, they're finally admitting that there's issues. Some of those shots, they already knew there was issues if they gave them too far close to each other. So the fact that they're doing bivalent shots, I feel like they jumped into that way too fast. The clot thing's really interesting. The heart stuff's really interesting. I think they're going to keep finding out more about it. I don't think it's going to be some big game changer, because I think there's a lot of people that are on the fence about it because of how bad it got co-opted on the fringes of the spectrum in all different directions. But I mean, the truth's going to come out. I just don't think anybody's going to care, and I don't think it's going to make a difference. But I think the truth is slowly coming out. And I feel vindicated, and I think I've been right every single step of the way. The only thing I think I wish was different was I wish they would put in place to say that they're never going to do this again. Because what's the word? Reasonable accommodations is still a thing that exists. It never went away. They just acted like it was too much of an inconvenience. And ironically now, because I think they didn't buy everybody chairs and tables like they should have when they made everybody stay home, I think a lot of people have repetitive stress muscle injuries. I know my shoulder and my arm are killing me, so I've been slowly trying to be like really careful as how to sit at my table. But we're going on 3 years now, I think. I've completely lost track of time. Some people have been working from home for 3 years now, and probably crappy folding chairs and desks and scrunched in the back rooms when it's not hurricanes, floods, tornadoes, and fires that are running everybody out of their houses, or cartels, or gangs. So people aren't sitting. It sounds so stupid, but you sit at a desk in like really messed up ways for like a long time. It fucks your body up. And I think insurance is going to be paying for a lot of physical therapy for people. So if you're out there and you're listening to this and you're sitting in some kind of fucked up way, do yourself a favor. You're not gonna be not in pain forever. Like, there's a price to pay, and once you feel it, it's almost too late. I've been having muscle spasms and what feels like my nerves on fire for weeks now. It really sucks. It's like slowly starting to get better, but it's like, geez Louise. It feels like a friggin' virus is in my arm and my back and my shoulder. It's hard to explain. So, what else? I made a new song. That's pretty cool. Some people liked it. I thought it was gonna... I always have this dumb idea, like, I'm gonna make this new song and it's gonna do great. And then, like, 5 people give it a thumbs up and say I did a good job. And, of course, the YouTube algorithm doesn't care. That's fine. I don't care. I think it's cute. I like it. I finished my Heartland book, and the book cover's like 99% done. I just need to figure out what to write on the back. I'll start reading it for all of you if anybody cares. However, unless my chat's lagged out, like, nobody's here, so whatever. If I get enough people asking for it, I'll read it in chat, although everyone says they don't want it spoiled for them, so I guess we'll find out. It's over 92,000 words, so it is going to take me a while. What I'm probably going to do is port it over to my laptop, take a break from my computer, and just read it on my laptop. I have 10, 11, 12, something like that, pieces of art done for the Bunker Coats hardbound. I got a lot of negative feedback, honestly, even though I tried to explain to people that they were works in progress, and that's just a slap in the face that I guess I'm used to getting when I show people things that are works in progress, and I just get a lot of negative feedback. And they go, well, you want feedback, right? It's like, no, actually, I would just kind of want to hear that everybody likes them, and that I'm going in the right direction. But I don't know, people think they're smart and they think they're fucking funny and whatever. I've noticed that a lot. Like, I pour my heart out, and I noticed lately me pouring my heart out has just been a fucking joke to everybody. So that's cool. It's nice. I want to get out and go camping more, but we got to put a lot of work into the car, it turns out. So that's occupied most of my evening. I'm not happy about that. They're saying we have to completely replace our entire brake system. It's essentially brand new. We haven't been driving the car for 3 years. So, I mean, we have, but I mean, shit, almost nothing. So I don't understand how the brake system can be completely and thoroughly destroyed. I know it has a problem, but I do not know mechanically how the entire brake system can be destroyed. I've never heard of that happening. And it is horrendously expensive to fix. I'm not begging for money. I'm just saying that's a thing. I encourage all of you, do not wait if you think you have a car problem. We are not waiting until we think we have a car problem. Like, I know. And we are stopping our whole lives, well, in terms of driving around to try to take care of it. So, take care of your cars, because you never know when you're going to need your car in an emergency. And right now I don't want to drive the car more than a couple miles, because the brakes are just the brakes are seizing up. So kind of puts a damper on things. So I'm going to finish Heartland. I'm going to do a paperback. I'm going to review it one time. I'm going to do paperback, hardback. I'm going to finish my art for the hardbound of the Bunker book. And I'm actually going to do one more update to the hardbound, because I'm rewriting some of the electronics area. My friend's helping me with it, and I realized I showed the math formulas using a / instead of the percentage sign. Excuse me. And he said that would be really confusing to people. So I'm going to use the percentage sign. No. I'm going to use the division sign, which kind of looks like the percentage sign. So it looks like a formula. And I've already updated most of the rest of it, but it wasn't anything crazy. It was just explaining to people in the Pacific Northwest you're going to need a generator along with your battery bank and your solar. It was also kind of clarifying lithium iron phosphate. A lot of people say lithium ion phosphate, and I wanted to clear that up. And I wanted to throw in there real quick that I think everyone should have some small and medium batteries, and each battery should have its own solar panel. That way everybody can be a little bit responsible for their own power. So that's basically it. I'm not really updating anything else in there. And those aren't even major updates, which is kind of like why I'm doing it. But once Heartland's done, I'm going to be putting a lot of extra actual content in the bunker book. And then what I'm going to be doing is kind of doing like a podcast on every single section of the bunker book, which I think is more valuable than me just narrating it for the sake of narration. I don't think that's going to help anybody. I'm really hoping for a miracle soon on the job front. I have a feeling this is going to be like those once every 5 or 6 year miracles coming up. I think things are getting worse in the terms of civil unrest. I know every other YouTuber's like, XYZ is going to happen, we're all going to die. I don't think most of those things are going to happen. I think we're not going to be that lucky. But civil unrest is going to get worse. Money is going to get worse. We just don't know how bad. Food's going to get worse. So I keep encouraging everybody to make all the money that you can now. Make all the moves that you need to now. It might not be too late. Just try. Or buy the things that you know you're going to need now. Don't go in debt. Get your debt paid off. Be positive. Don't keep negative people around you. Don't keep people that aren't performing around you. Surround yourself with high performers. Surround yourself with people that are taking this shit seriously. And people are going to have bad days and people are going to fail. But surround yourself with people who get back up again. Because one of the things I've noticed, as civil unrest gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, and the drugs just gets worse and worse and worse and worse, is these people will steal and take everything that you have just to get another fix. Drugs are legalized, which is fine. The problem is, the drugs are not the problem, per se. It's the fact that people are stealing everything. Everything. To pay for the drugs. If they would have, legalized or something, I don't know how to say it, the treatments for all this stuff too. Imagine how effective that would be. Doesn't make any sense, right? I know there's another YouTuber that's if these people were being killed by anything else, we would have declared war on it already, and they're just letting this happen, and that's true. And I would argue that it's actually getting harder and harder every day to get medicine, so take care of yourself, get self-defense stuff, while you still can before it's all banned. Don't let anybody tell you what you do or don't need to feel prepped or to have your self-defense situation squared away. The time for gardening is now. Get a greenhouse if you can. Get chickens if you can, and defend those chickens as if they're the last chickens on the planet. And stock up on medicine now. There's no guarantee there's going to be medicine there tomorrow. And like I already said, take care of your cars. Don't count on being able to buy a new car. I think the used car market is still really bad. I don't know. I could just label off all the prepper stuff, but maybe a lot of people who listen to this aren't preppers. I don't know, but Get extra water, get extra food, get extra pet food. Build your networks now while you can still trust people. I wish I was on better terms with my neighbor, but it seems like he doesn't even want to talk to me anymore. I don't know what I did. I was on really good terms with him for a long time. And he just started acting really weird one day. I think that's a good transition into the very last thing I wanted to say, which is the cards are really like stacked against people that are conservative independent thinkers. Everybody who says they're marginalized and they're demanding equity, those people have a gravy train. Those people have an entire robust network and logistic systems to escalate them in every single facet to be as successful as they want to be. People who are conservative free thinkers have many more significant challenges because we don't have the same doors and systems and processes, and we don't have any of that open to us anymore. We have to live in the shadows and hide, and that's what they say they have to do, but they're just projecting it all. Meanwhile, they're open and fine, and they get everything handed to them. And I think what that does is that just makes us stronger, and it gives us more of an opportunity to just be a beacon of light. That being the way we are can still be successful, and then we can still do good things and be positive and pull everybody up around us and tell the world what good stewards we can be and how helpful we can be. So I guess that's it. I just wanted to do a little podcast and cover a bunch of things. And yes, I'll be having AI art too, but I'm going to try to figure out some way of making it as ethical as I can. Either try to figure out how the AI, was inspired by it or something. I'm going to at least try. And I guess that's it. And talk to you all later. If you like these, let me know. And I really like doing podcasts, so I've been trying to get people to do podcasts with me for a long time now again, and it seems like nobody wants to. It's just like, whatever. So, I like doing them though, and I hope these help somebody. And if you want to hear more of my books, poorly narrated by me, let me know. And I appreciate you all, and I will talk to you all later. Bye. Subscribe, and buy my books. Oh, there was one more thing, which is, as more people pass away, it keeps shouldering the rest of us with their burdens and their responsibilities, but it's important to all of us that we get everybody else prepared to shoulder all of our burdens and responsibilities for when we're gone. So, yeah. Oh, there was one more thing. I keep thinking more things. I've been playing a lot of Shadow of Mordor, and I hope everyone's been enjoying that. I know it doesn't have my commentary, but I know sometimes people like to just listen to gameplay, and if you liked it, I'll keep finishing the DLCs and play Shadow of War next. Also, I can't believe how old those games are. But they look absolutely stunning and gorgeous. Unfortunately, the video compression that YouTube has really tones down the lighting, which kind of bumps me out. But anyway, I just wanted to throw the last thing in there. So take care of each other. And don't get scammed. Bye-bye. If you want me to do more of these, let me know that too.